Hello, welcome. This is Amy of the Mystic Rose Tarot. Today I am going to be doing a review of the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. I've actually been trying to do a post of this video. I actually shot a review of this, and I didn't realize till after I was playing back what I had recorded that I had some technical issues, sound issues. And I was going to be lazy and like, let me just chop here and there and just throw it up. Didn't like it. So this is take 2. And I'm going to keep it very short. Go through the cards, through the arcanas, give a brief description of some cards that really connect with me, and look forward to hearing from your feedback, what you think of the deck. I know a few people have ordered the deck, and which was released through Llewelyn of November of last year, 2019. So if you do have this deck, I'd like to know your feedback. I'd like to hear how this deck works for you. Visually, this deck is sort of out of the ordinary for me because I tend to be someone who likes very simple imagery, symbology, and just very little information in the cards, because I want to connect with the cards without having too much additional details going on. But this deck is quite the opposite. This deck is a story, and the story, the realm, the universe takes place in the forest. And it showcases the Fool's Journey, like all the tarot decks, the Fool's Journey and the archetypes that it meets in the major arcana, but in a forest environment. The forest holds a lot of mystery and a lot of excitement, a lot of play, a lot of fear. And this deck actually covers it, but in a story-like way. There's not enough time for me to go through the entire deck so you can see the whole storyline, but it does build up, and the ending is quite amazing. So I want to start off with the deck, with the box. It's a hard box. Has a glossy finish, as you could probably see a little bit with the highlight. This is our side here, the spine of it, Forest of Enchantment, by Lunaea Weatherstone, and illustrated by Meraylah, Allwood. It has a magnetic closure, which is pretty standard for a lot of the box tarot. Inside is the Ace of Visions card, which I will show you quickly, but it's inside the box here. One thing to point out too is that the arcana, major arcana, some of the major arcana and the minor arcana, their names have been reworded to be fitting with this deck. Let me show you the back here. The forest beckons alive with mystery and wisdom. And here are some of the cards here that we see. Again, a nice sturdy box. The coloring doesn't do justice in this video, but it is a nice forest dark green color, and it sort of fades off a little bit to a lighter shade, which you can see, but this is more of a dark color. On the cover, this is the Council of Animals, which is representative of judgment in the major arcana of this deck. So I'm smiling because there are hidden references to these animals throughout the deck, and the importance that they have with the card that these specific animals are placed in. And there's little subtle imagery of these animals and other elements that you don't see immediately in this deck. It's pretty magical in every sense. The guidebook is all full color, and here is the Fool, but in this deck it's represented as the White Heart, getting to the center of who you are and following your heart. And this is what the deer represents in the first part of the major arcana, the Fool. So I'm going to flip through this quickly. Let me go a little closer so you can see this. Again, similar coloring. I think it's a little bit of a darker green than what's featured in the box. And the color fades from a dark green to a light. Here's the opening page. Your path through the forest. And this is actually the world card. This is the last card that we see in the major arcana. And we have our white guide, our white deer, who guided us through this journey. And I like the perspective of this. He's looking back at you as you're looking over the landscape here, and wants you to really assess what you've gone through when walking through the forest. I'm assuming that this is the journey as you leave the forest and what you're seeing out on the other side. You have gone through the path of the forest and experienced everything that the minor arcana has to offer. So this is the world card. The Wise Woman. Again, as I mentioned, the major arcana has been renamed, some of the cards. The Wise Woman we know as the Hierophant. And here she is, conjuring with her tools. Feather, bones, elements that she finds in the forest that she uses to cast her spell. Another card that's been renamed, normally known as Death, number 13. It's the Black Shook. This, I've already gone through this deck and I've done a few personal readings, but this deck definitely has you facing your fears in the forest and how you will handle these fears and how you will work through them. The Black Shook is no different than the Death card. I'll read the interpretation of this. I'm going to hold the card here since I have it. There's the Black Shook. The meaning for this at a glance is the knowledge that time is finite. Change, evolution, release of the old to make way for the new. Making peace with an ending. And then for a closer look, there's two meanings when it comes to the guidebook. They give you the general overview of what the card means, and then a closer look meaning. As I mentioned, that there are subtle references to things that we may not immediately see, and Lunaea brings it up with a closer look interpretation. For the Black Shook, the closer look is, as you can see, this black wolf is enveloped in the mists of fogs. As you stand in the misty graveyard, you can just make out some of the designs on the weathered old stones. I'll point those out to you in a moment. What would you want on your own? As you can see here, there's a hand like part of a stone in the graveyard. Here's another one. So as I mentioned, this forest has a lot of different elements in it. Here, reference is being made to a graveyard, a cemetery, letting go of things that are just of no use. They are dead to you. They are soulless. And it's time to literally bury those old elements when you face death. There we go. Nothing to fear with the death card. If you get the death card, it's actually a really good card, an indicator of change. Time to move on. Let me pull one other. Actually, I need to show you the back of the cards. In the guidebook, the deck is actually broken up numerically instead of through elements. So we have 1s through 10s, and the names of the minor arcana, as I mentioned, have been changed. So visions in this deck is related to the cups. Challenges are related to swords. Boons is related to pentacles, coins, stuff of material nature. And then spells is related to action, fire. It's the Wands card. But let me first show you the back of the cards. This image is the same on all the backs. They're reversible. We have 2 owls resting on, could be a full moon. You see the element right here. I'll flip it around, it's no different, but so you could see. So they're mirroring each other. And the book here, as I mentioned, the deck is broken up numerically. Each section is separated by the owls, the back part of the card. The color just shifted. That's odd. And it gives a breakdown numerically of what the aces, 2s, 3s, 4s mean. I'll read an example. The 2s and 3s move you forward along your forest journey. The 4s halt your progress, and that is not always a bad thing. Creative action and working through conflicts both benefit from taking a break. So the 4s are more or less, there's more information that she writes about the 4s. But the 4s is basically you're midway into your journey. Take a moment to reflect and look back at what's been accomplished or what has not been accomplished. And from there, make the choices to continue on the path for progression, for accomplishments, to complete your goals. Let's see here. This deck is just, the deck, the book, it's beautiful. The court cards have also been renamed too. Court cards are known as the forest folk, and their references are not elemental, but child has been, or princesses have been replaced by child. And they go by child of spells. Again, that's related to action. Child of challenges for swords. Child of visions, emotions, and child of boons, pentacles. We see a progression. I'm jumping back and forth, so my apologies for this. So here's what the child card. So these are obviously youthful spirits. Seeker is the knight. And again, they're broken up in the same way. Seeker of spells, seeker of visions, seeker of challenges, and seeker of boons. And here we have the seeker of spells. Here we see the maturity, the knowledge that they are gaining from when they were a child, to entering their adult years and manifesting and working with the energy of their element. Seeker of spells, seeker of visions. Here we have a person playing the harp. Emotionally, he or she is very much content, very happy. Seeker of visions. Seeker of challenges. A very fierce. Challenges again is relate to swords. A very stern, fierce entity. I'll just say entity because we don't know who's behind the mask. But this person is a force to be reckoned with. You have to know what you're getting yourself into and be prepared to fight when you get the seeker of challenges. And here's our seeker of boons, connecting with the elements of the forest and all it has to offer. We have a butterfly on the limb of this tree. The weaver is known for the queen. Again, we have weaver of spells, challenges, visions, and boons. It takes some time to get used to the renaming because I almost want to say weaver of wands, but that's related to the spells. Here's our weaver of spawns. This is the queen. The queen knows how to work with her fiery energy and the magic that she has gained and understand. She knows how to use the skill of manifesting what she wants. Weaver of visions, Queen of Cups. In the realm of the water, emotions, intuition. You see the waves, maybe sea coral. Her environment that she feels very comfortable with. So again, this is Weaver of Visions, equivalent to Queen of Cups. This card is beautiful, but the meaning is very hard. We have the Weaver of Challenges, Queen of Swords. This card, she's in a winter wonderland, which is very similar to what our mountain neighborhood was looking like a few weeks ago. Everything was all white. And she has a fence of thorns before her. Similar to the Knight of Challenges, there's a barrier put up that you really need to be prepared to stand up to this Weaver of Challenges, this Queen of Swords. You need to be on your toppest wits, intellect, when questions are being asked, and how to problem solve a situation. Weaver of Challenges. Weaver of Boons. Earth Mama here, she's surrounded by flowers, her cottage in the back. Everything's green, everything's lush. She worked very hard. This is Queen of Pentacles, the equivalent. She has worked very hard, and she's very happy with where she is. I could say that's me. I love my home very much. Okay, keepers. Keepers are the kings. So I'm going to go through this really quickly. Here we have Keeper of Spells, Wands, Fiery Energy. He's the initiator of getting things going, looking after the well-being of others. He uses his power to harness and make sure everything is not in a chaotic state. Everything is controlled. Keeper of Spells. King of Cups, King of Visions. This is a little different. Of the core cards, this is the only card similar to, sort of similar to, the Knight of Visions. Or I'm sorry, the Seeker of Visions, where we had the woman, the bottom of her feet looked more like a mermaid. I'm going to show the card here for reference. Let's see what I have. Oops. Where are you? Oh. Here. Nope. Okay, I'm going to have to show it later. I don't want to be wasting too much time here. So this is the manifestation of the King of Cups, fully transformed into a salmon. Salmon holds great wisdom in symbology, very intuitive, very aware of its surroundings. It is at one with its spirit, its watery environment. It is best at home in this realm, fully intuitively connected. And I'll see if I can find that card in a moment. Here we go. King. King of Swords, Keeper of Challenges. We have the Wise Man. Holding the skull, holding a staff with the skull of a bird. Bird is an air element. As we know, challenges is relating to swords, thought. This gentleman has earned his knowledge. He is rested in an oak tree, which is one of the wisest trees, to be respected in the realm of magic. He questions you, wants you to really think about where you are. Be aware of where you are right now and where you're going. He is full of knowledge, Keeper of Challenges. Then lastly, we have the Keeper of Boons. Jolly fellow in a cave with the badger. The badger is actually the hermit in this deck. And they are both at home and content in their environment. I'm going to move the card closer. You will see elements, crystals, that the Keeper of Boons, King of Pentacles, uses. If you look behind him, he is in a realm of crystal energy, different minerals, achieving the connection that he needs to remain as the King of Pentacles. That's a beautiful cave. Okay. Keeper of Boons. So I want to see, as I put this back in order, got Seeker of Spells, I want to show you this card again. Here we go. It's not the Seeker. My bad. Here we go. The Weaver of Visions. And you can see right there the bottoms of her feet. She's almost metamorphing into a mermaid or fish. And I'm going to compare these two here. I would say that is her Keeper of Visions. As she's transforming, the Weaver's the Queen of Visions. And then we have the Keeper, the masculine version of the Queen of Cups or King of Cups. Full transformation. Alrighty. I want to go through the major arcana very, very quickly because I showed you the Black Shook. That was the court cards that we just went through. Here's our White Heart again, beginning our journey into the forest. The Magician is now known as the Enchanter. There he is. All his tools. There's the skull of the bird. It's a little blown out here. There we go. Showed you the Wise Woman. Let's try this up. Show it again. Sorry for the color shifts. It's obviously when I tilt the card. I have large bay windows here, so fog is coming in and it's affecting the color cast on the cards. This is an all green card, so don't worry, it's not a bad color cast. The Empress is now known as the Green Mother. And there she is with the rabbit, hedgehogs, squirrels, elements of fertility, abundance. There she is with her child, her little green child. Again, Green Mother is now the Emperor, or the Empress is now the Green Mother in the Forest of Enchantment. Emperor, this is our year card, 2020, but this is titled the Forest Lord. Same perspective, except in the environment of the forest. The deck, as you've probably noticed, is very earthy. It holds roots in a pagan belief system with a fairy tale twist. As I mentioned, this deck holds a story throughout the entire deck. Again, these are the archetypes of the major arcana. These are the elements that you will be seeing when traveling through the Forest of Enchantment. The oldest one is now the Hierophant. Go here on the side. Goes good with the staff there. The oldest one, known as the Hierophant. Lovers. Content couple underneath. I don't know if that's an oak tree. The book makes reference to the trees that are shown in some of the cards and explains their symbolism and their importance throughout the reading. So again, oak, tree or rowan, apple. There are a few other trees. Lunaea gives a breakdown as to the meaning of the trees and their relevance to the card. fairy wind is now the chariot, or the chariot's now the fairy wind. Here we have the fairies just flying off into the wind, letting the wind direct them wherever they need to go. Strength, I'm going to pull it from this side so you can see better. Strength card. Instead of the lion that we normally see, we now have the wolf. The trust between the human and the animal in the forest. Animal instincts versus human instincts. There's a respect on both sides. Here's the hermit, our badger, in the cave. Don't know if this is the same cave that we saw with the King of Boons. It could be. This could be an area in the cave where the King of Boons is residing, and the hermit has its own little nook there with the books, as you could see, and a journal right there for him to look at, to write his thoughts in. Oh, here, let's go on this side. The Enchanter's Wheel, Wheel of Fortune. Here we see elements from the Magician, the Enchanter. We see the bones, we see the skull, we see the plants that he works with, mushrooms, the claw, the key. Enchanter's Wheel is the cycle of karma. Huntsman is known as justice in this deck. Protection. Protection and respect in the forest. He's making himself known that this forest is open to all of those, but you have to have great respect and understanding what goes and lives in the forest. This is the Huntsman, also known for justice. This is card 11. The Hangman is now suspension. It's like in the womb of a tree. I believe the book may make reference to it as the oak tree. There's a dragonfly in there, which represents intellect. He's in the amber sap, if you will, suspended within the tree and protected. He embodies everything of what that tree represents. There's our black shook again. The forge is now known as temperance, or the temperance is now known as forge. Again, it's going to take me a while to get used to the names here. It's the forge. Here we have dwarves working with the elements of water, earth, fire, and air, creating that balance of those four elements, using the tools and applying that to their everyday living. Forge. Liar is the devil, trying to coerce you to come closer. And here we have, looks like a blue jay of a cracker trying to distract the devil. I'm going to show it on this side too for the colors. It's liar. Folly This is the Tower. The ultimate breakdown, tearing down of things that were thought to be good, ended up not being what we thought they would be. Badly structured, badly maintained, not a good foundation. The top of the Folly Tower is breaking apart slowly. Birds are being released. Conscious thought, unconscious, being let go. Folly is the Tower. Star card, also known as Starlight. This card speaks for itself. Visionary, wonder, idealist, dreamer. Starlight, which is the month of Aquarius. The Star card, looking up to the stars. Moonlight. Here we have the hares that are just entranced by the full moon, which we can see in the reflection in the water there. There's actually a few hares in here you may not notice. There's one that, I don't want to even point it out, there's one hidden in this card. And when I went to the book, it was brought to my attention to count how many hares I see. And I think I see 4. I'm not going to show you where they are because some are more obvious than others, but there's one that's hidden, maybe 2. I'll give a hint. One's in the background of this card, the other one's in the water somewhere. It's moonlight. Again, this is the beauty of this deck. Just subtle messages. Here we have sunlight. There we go. Contentment, happiness. Sunlight. Let's see if we can lower this down a little bit. Here we go, Council of Animals. They are judgment. Each of these animals represent an attribute within ourselves. And when you meet the Council of Animals, and depending where this card is placed in the layout, they are asking you to look within yourself and see what is truly within yourself. Badgers with their hermit, the hare with the moonlight, the deer for the fool. Then we have 2 different kinds of owls. We have a bat, we have the squirrel, we have the fox for cunning intelligence, the bear for strength. There's 20. And then we have the wide world, just the world card, which we saw at the beginning of this review. Here's the minor arcana. Remember, spells is wands, visions is cups, challenges, swords, boons, pentacles. Look at this toad. In the book, it corrects the meaning between the meaning of what the frog is and the toad. There are 2 very distinct differences. The toad is seen more magical within this deck, and it holds greater power than a frog does. And this ring is enchanted and powerful. Let's see here. Go through the twos. 2 spells. Two of challenges. I have a troll underneath the bridge on this one. I have to be careful. I'm going to go on this side. Here we are in the 3s, spells. This is a very playful card. Three of Visions. This is one of the harder cards in this deck emotionally. Making choices, heartfelt choices. And I swear this is going to be me. I think this is going to be me in a couple of decades. My little fingers. It's 3 of Boons. We go into the 4s. Undecisive, 4 of Visions, emotionally. Disenchanted. Not a good place to be. With all the beauty around, you're missing out on seeing what's around you. This card is just stunning. Four of Challenges. Four of Boons. Female dwarves. Not sharing. Hoarding what they've worked hard for. Not trusting. Gotta look at their feet and their tails, though. Pretty cute looking female elves there. So I'm just going to go back and forth so I can go through this deck quickly. 5 of Spells. Working with the energy of magic. Being playful. Causing some havoc. A little bit. 5 of Visions. That's a frog, not a toad. Much different. Frog, as we know in fairy tales, turns into a prince. But I'm not going to give it away in this deck, what the frog represents. Ooh, the giant. This is 5 of Challenges. There we go. Detail, illustrations in this deck is just beyond par. It is just wonderful. Five of Boons, loss, desolation, despair. Joy, 6 of Spells. We have a little baby dragon that just emerged from its egg. The wizards are just in glee. If you look closely, you'll see here little dragon blowing out some smoke, like the baby's first cry. Very adorable. working that magic energy with the 6 of spells. Six of visions. So look at all the detail. We have the owl that's up in a tree. There's a little doorway up in that tree. We have angels, fairies, elves sitting on the mushroom. There's just so much to catch in these cards. Like I said, if you don't see it immediately, you'll probably see it again when you're doing another reading. And there's that frog with that gold bowl that we saw earlier. Six of challenges. Wolves trying to get to this elf. Six of boons. Fertility, rabbits, protection, running from fear. And here's our dragon. Unfortunately, still misunderstood. Go here. The gnomes daunting it with fire. 7 of spells. Here. 7 of visions. Seven of challenges. Seven doors, 7 boons, 7 choices that could lead to good fortune, bad fortune, or still the same. Which door are you going to choose? 7 of boons, boons, pentacles. Variations of different owls. 8 of spells. I don't want to explain too much about the cards. I want people to look and just kind of get a feel of what these cards are like. The energy in it. 8 of visions, lost spirits, lost emotions, wandering aimlessly, trying to find which path to take emotionally, intuitively. One of the more difficult cards in this deck. 8 of challenges. So we know challenges and swords. These are cards that really get you thinking about your situation and having to make these choices. Here we have a woman who's just so overwhelmed with the thorns curling up around her and enveloping almost every part of her. Just doesn't know what to do. 8 of challenges. Go. 8 of boons. I'm winding down. So sorry for this highlight. I'm going to have to go on this side. 9 of spells. Working that magic. Literally sprinkling the final touches on your goals. Finessing anything that needs to be done on whatever you're working on. 9 of visions, again emotions. This is actually a well, and the story behind this card is you pull out a coin, which you see here. The coin has fishes in it, some symbols of fishes, and you throw it in the well and make it that wish. It's a card for fear, challenges, 9 of challenges, facing those fears, the forest, full moon, very active time in the forest. Everything is dark, is coming out, and it's making its presence known. And you're in the middle of it. And it's facing those final fears in the forest. You go 9 of boons. Contentment, the material aspect of what's been gained. Again, very similar to the woman in the Queen of Boons. We're going to the 10s, completion. All the energy, all the work that you've done is now done. It's time to rest, prepare for the next journey. So 10 of spells. Ten of visions. Harmony for the emotions. Everything is in balance. Family, friends. We have 3 unicorns. We have a family of unicorns here. 10 of visions. Completion of one cycle, the beginning of another, which leads us to the Fool. Ten of challenges. Broken soldier has fought a very hard and difficult challenge. The sword's broken, he's broken. I almost want to say this is probably a young person. This could be the knight, but has just aged immensely. The hair's all white. The horse looks gaunt, thin, tired. This is representative of the 10 of swords, which we normally see with the swords placed in the back of either a human or an animal or on the ground. But 10 of boons, the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's go here. So I'm getting confused here. Cheer, completion. All good work is done. We can celebrate. Keeping good company with others. And we have the Irish wolfhound underneath the table. Try not to kick the dog because he'll get up and ruin the festivities of the night, knocking food over. 10 of boons. 10 of pentacles. So that's the complete deck. As I said, this deck has a storyline to it, and it takes a very good look into the human soul and interacting with the aspects of Mother Nature and dealing in that environment of being in the forest and seeing things that you haven't seen before. The unknown, encountering that, how you react to that. These are all elements of who we are and what makes us who we are. This is the Forest of Enchantment. It's the guidebook. Here's the box. It's a wonderful deck. It's not going to be for everyone. As I mentioned, this deck is nature-oriented, pagan influenced. It has a lot of information. As I mentioned, I'm normally a person that doesn't like too much information coming from my decks, but the storyline and the imagery and the feelings that I got from this deck are they're so wonderful. It's actually a breath of fresh air, something different. I think it's good when you have tarot decks. You can have a commonality with decks, there's a certain style or whatnot, but I think it's always nice to have that deck that just changes how you see and how you use your current decks. And this is one of them, the Forest of Enchantment. This actually has replaced a deck that a small deck that I gave to someone, and I was looking for a deck that had the same kind of qualities, nature-oriented, fairy tale-ish, and this does it. So this deck I will probably not do so many readings with, but I will probably more than likely do my night readings with. I've done a few night readings with them, and I incorporate the major arcana when doing a subconscious and conscious reading with this deck, and I've gotten some interesting dreams that do bring in elements of animals and how to solve conflict or how to deal with certain issues. So this deck is already working on me in its own way. So I welcome the Forest of Enchantment. I hope you will too. It's created by Lunaea Weatherstone, illustrated by Meraylah Allwood, and it's published through Llewelyn. That's it. This is Amy signing off from the Mystic Rose Tarot. My website is www.themysticrosetarot. Instagram, the same name, the Mystic Rose Tarot. I do have a Patreon account, which I want to start promoting more of. I'd like to get your support for that. Same name, the Mystic Rose Tarot, at Patreon. Have a wonderful day and be safe.